Good morning. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us for another edition of the Morning Breeze, man. Always rocking with you guys, as always, man. Outside of me, I got my guy, Mr. Media himself, Jordan JC, in the building. Bear down. Yeah, here we go again. Bear down. Bear down. We having fun yet? I'm having fun. Whatever. It is what it is. What's good, y'all? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love to another edition of the Morning Breeze. Woo! I do have it on good authority that Kyle Shanahan's probably staying put. Per Kyle Shanahan. But we got to talk about why Thomas Brown's Bears coaching debut was such an absolute disaster. Rewatched the game last night and bad. Also, on a little bit of a positive note, I guess, the Caleb and Rome connection coming to life. What does that mean for the future of some of the wide receiver pieces on this team? And a serious question. Would you rather compete the rest of the way or lose out and know everything you need to know? There's a lot of football left, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. Hey, big vibes, big vibes. All right. Yeah. A lot of football left, ladies and gentlemen. Long way to go. But we got you covered here over on the Morning Breeze. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do, man. It's your boy, Pat the Designer. Back at it again. Stop playing with us, though. Go ahead and...
Come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push the button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Push the button, man. Stop playing with us. Got a lot to get into on this show, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Appreciate y'all rocking with us on the early morning. Very interesting weekend for the Chicago Bears. Listen, the game did not go as planned. I mean, this was an absolute joke of a game. First half was abhorrent. To say the least. 6 for 9 for Caleb Williams, 27 yards. DeAndre Swift, 4 carries for 7 yards, $8 million. My left, you know what? Like, I mean, just the joke of an offensive scheme production in the first half. Second half was not any. I shouldn't say that. Second half was better, but it's too little, too late. It's not like San Francisco. I see some people out there who are just like, well, of course Caleb is scoring garbage time touchdowns. They weren't garbage time touchdowns. Like, San Francisco was still playing, but it doesn't mean much when Cole Kmet goes out there and can't hold on to a football. Doesn't mean much when your defense can't slow down me. Doesn't mean much when you're in the second half, you're just getting completely eviscerated on the other end. Too little, too late. And what went wrong? Now, I think there's two fronts to this. Number one, I am looking at Thomas Brown. I am looking at the offensive scheme. I am looking at what we saw in the first half. And I know on the broadcast, they're like, you can't just rely on the arm of Caleb Williams to win this game. And I go, look, I'm like, Caleb Williams threw 9 passes. You ran the football 4 times. Like, I don't know. You had 1 first down the entire first half. I don't know if that's relying on the arm of Caleb Williams. I went back. I'm like, okay, where are these offensive plays? What's working? What didn't work? What didn't happen? And there's one glaring thing that I see that keeps showing its head in this Chicago Bears season. And maybe this is just who the Bears are. But when you talk about the first half, when you talk about drives in the first half and trying to sustain them off of a week where Keenan Allen says, I think the players did enough to win, basically taking a complete shot at his coaches. How about you hold on to the ball to keep drives going? Hey, DJ Moore, you too. How about we don't drop key third down passes that keep drives alive? DeAndre Swift, how about that? You got everything you wanted. The players got every single thing that they wanted. And that's the effort that they came out with. Are there things Thomas Brown needs to improve upon? Yeah, for one, getting more effort out of his team. But are we making business decisions? Is that where we're at? You did all of this crying and whining all week about how Flus was the problem and how there's a new voice in there and we're excited and here we go. And that's the effort you came out with? That was the big bump that you got this season, huh? To me, that was as much as we've put it on the coaches the last few weeks. And it's not to say Thomas Brown has no culpability, just like it wasn't to say that the players had no culpability. Because for you saying, I think the players did enough to win, I can argue with you last week. You had an entire first half of football that looked a heck of a lot like this first half of football. Shout out to Paulie G with the super chat, big super chat out here. Said, lose out. We can't make the playoffs. Also, we need a head coach who has experience as one like Bill Belichick or Vrabel because we have no culture or identity. But Warren worries me because he knows nothing about football and he tried to cancel it. Listen, as a first game, this was a joke for Thomas Brown. As a first game, this effort that your team showed was a joke, and that falls on you just like it fell on Eberflus. I don't know how the rest of this plays out, but I told y'all 4-1. 4-1 was my line. 4-1 was my line. If we're gonna have conversations on keeping Thomas Brown around, 4-1 was my line. No matter what the circumstances are, no matter how it happens, no matter what happens, it 4-1. Figure it out. Figure out how to get there. I get that you were given a raw deal. I get that this is not the situation where you want your first head coaching opportunity. This is your opportunity. Figure it out. But what we saw yesterday was a complete lack of, dare I say, want to. And one of the most embarrassing efforts I've seen from the Chicago Bears in the last 3 seasons. Now, if the season's over, the season's over. It is what it is. I bet you're not making the playoffs, like Paulie G pointed out. You're not going to go out there and you know surprise some team. You're not going 5-0, making it tough. Here we go. All right. The rest of this season, as Antonio Pierce said, is about making business decisions. You had some guys out there that I think made some business decisions, and guess what? Bears got to make some too. Paulie G with the super chat. He said, and why can't we score in the first half? Shaking my head. Makes no sense, especially with prep time with Brown. I'll tell you why, because you can't keep a drive alive. You can't keep a drive alive. You can't keep the football moving forward. You get in a third and short situations where we're like, all right, here we go. Hey, I'll say that the Bears yesterday, no pre-snap penalties. Something changed in a week. Something was different. No pre-snap penalties. Okay. All right. We're not putting ourselves behind the 8-ball. We're not shooting ourselves in the foot. All right. Now let's, why we drop the football? It's right there in the breadbasket. How'd you miss that? If this Bears team gives the effort, it misses the attention to detail. When it tries to get the attention to detail, now all of a sudden the effort isn't there. That's just called a bad football team. Call it what it is. You can say there's more talent here. You can say there's more pieces here. You got a bad culture in that building. You got a bad football team, and it's not going to change just because Thomas Brown walked into the building. I did think that would be different. I did think that you would get a little bit more of a bump from him being there. I was a little bit shocked by that yesterday, but I mean, realistically speaking, this team reverts to who they are when things get tough. Things got tough yesterday, and you saw a lot of guys, like I said, just not trying, not giving the effort. I saw a dead football team yesterday. And it sucks to say because I feel like there is talent on this team. I feel like you do have some answers with Caleb Williams. I think the Caleb Williams, like we're going to talk about, the Caleb Williams-Roma Dunze connection is one to be excited about. I think that there's pieces out there that, to me, I can be excited about moving forward. But not with the culture that this team has in there right now. And I'm talking about the culture within that locker room between the players. Are we going to be holding each other accountable at practice this week? Now, I will say this as well. I can't put it all on the wide receivers. Because with the collection of pieces on the offensive line that we have out there, I'm still looking at Ryan Poles and saying, how the heck did you think that this was okay? How the heck did you think that this is acceptable? Coleman Shelton back in his familiar position of face down, cheeks up on a Sunday, children watching, backing that thing up. Braxton Jones did something I don't know if I've ever seen a left tackle do. Have you ever seen a left tackle get sacked with the quarterback? Does that count for 2 sacks? How in the world are you going to be able to assess what's actually happening on the field when you've got your starting center being thrown into your lap? The effort by the offensive line was one of the worst that I've seen. And by the way, there was no Bosa. The effort out of the offensive line, this may be Coleman Shelton's worst game since he had to go up against T'Vondre Sweat. You have an offensive line that's basically me and the boys. And I think that's the part for me that concerns me the most moving forward. Because that just looked like the nail in the coffin. There weren't dogs. Nah, I'm not going to say that. They still got talent on the other side of that defensive line, right? Like you still got, Leonard Floyd is still on the other side there. Leonard Floyd ended up getting 2 sacks in that first half. You still got Malik Collins. But like, how the heck are you going to have a conversation on moving the offense, getting things working? And this is why I said, right? You can't just go out and get a coordinator. You got to get a culture builder. Because realistically speaking, I don't know what coordinator comes in here and is able to call an amazing offense for Caleb Williams with that offensive line standing on the other side. Of the things that went wrong in this first game, I mean, that is the glaring hole for me. 7 more sacks for Caleb Williams. And in this game, while yes, there are times he does hold the football too long, I think there were two or three sacks in there where I looked at it and I was like, dog, you got to get up out of there. You got to move your feet. Let's go. Get rid of the football. There's 4 or 5 more where I go, it's nothing to do. You said set hut. He turns left. Braxton Jones is falling on him. Like my biggest concern moving forward is, let's be real. And why, for me, everybody else has Ryan Poles on the hot seat for all these other reasons. This is your number one reason to have him on the hot seat. You keep giving coaches this pile of crap and saying, turn it into diamonds. Chris Morgan should have been out the door with Matt Eberflus. You keep giving this coaching staff this pile of crap, no matter the coaching staff, and you're going to say, turn it into diamonds. And guess what? I'm scared you're going to do that with Ben Johnson, because the realistic scenario is you're not going to find 5 offensive linemen heading into next season. You're not going to find a starting center and a left tackle in the same draft. You're probably not going to find that in free agency. My biggest fear is that you are going to become what the Cincinnati Bengals have become. And at least with them, they've been to a Super Bowl already. They got something that they can beat their chest on. It's the only reason that we kind of didn't worry about them for so long. But my biggest fear is that you're going to bring in a Ben Johnson or whoever it is, and we're going to look at that guy and be like, oh, everybody comes to the Chicago Bears and they can't play football anymore. No. Common sense tells you the 5 dudes up front are important. Look around the NFL and tell me I'm wrong. Sam Darnold back to being an amazing quarterback and can play football at every turn. On the flip side of that, I got CJ Stroud half dead. He was looking like an MVP candidate last year. My biggest concern is that you're going to bring the new head coach in here and you're not going to have the answers, because realistically speaking, there were options for you to go after this year that aren't going to be available coming into this coming season. When you look at the free agent class of offensive linemen out there coming into this season, oof. Terrible. Terrible. I'm good, so we got to draft them. You're not going to find 5 offensive linemen in the draft that all of a sudden are magically going to make this offensive line better. And I hate to tell you this, I don't know what Darnell Wright is. I do think he's starting to take steps back in the right direction. But outside of that, 4 of your 5 spots is not good. Tevin Jenkins can't stay alive. Braxton Jones, a dead dog in the water. Coleman Shelton is basically out there just as a human turnstile. And Matt Pryor, I mean, he's taking strays. He's a backup guy. He's like, how the heck did I get here? And we're shocked by what we saw on Sunday. I wasn't surprised. Second I saw that first set, Hutton, Coleman Shelton basically get thrown to the right side. Just smacked out of the way. You kind of knew where the direction of the game was going. Kind of hard to play quarterback in this NFL or keep an offense moving forward in this NFL when the middle of my offensive line is collapsing on my lap. Just bad, man. Bad. And it was a horrible showing for Thomas Brown. What I will say is this, though. Doesn't mean it's the end. Doesn't mean that it's over. But what do you want it to be? Do you want it to be that the Chicago Bears go out there and compete the rest of the way, maybe find a way to 4-1, go 3-2? There's no playoffs in the world, right? There's no playoffs out here. You could play spoilers to a couple of teams, right? You can keep the Packers out of the playoffs. Maybe you see something that tells you that Thomas Brown is a guy more than what we saw in this game. Maybe you see something that tells you, that he's at least a competent OC, that's somebody you want to keep around in that capacity. Or would you rather lose out? Would you rather get the doors absolutely blown off of you the rest of the way and And there is a part of me that is ready for them to lose out. Where it's just like, bro, you know what? Season's done. Just wash your hands of it. Let's get the best pick that we can. Logically, that makes sense. My biggest concern is, are we at a point where you feel like you've got the answer in Caleb Williams and you have to hope for the best for him, for his mental moving forward? Are we at a point with Caleb Williams where we say, listen, it's better for him to go out there and try and navigate and deal with everything that's going to happen? By the way, because he may not have a better offensive line next season. Ryan Poles has shown me nothing to tell me that he could evaluate offensive linemen. He's shown me absolutely nothing to tell me that he can go out there and I mean, what do we say? One guy, Darnell Wright? Maybe. Darnell Wright's a maybe too. Like one offensive lineman in 3 years you found? I would give you credit for Braxton if you wouldn't keep trying to sell him to us as a starting left tackle in this league. Karan Amagaji basically looks like Braxton Jones literally to a T. I don't think he's going to fare much better against the bull rush. Your centers have been Lucas Patrick and Coleman Shelton. Your hopefuls have been Ryan Bates, who basically has played a game this season. And your big free agent signing was Nate Davis, who basically was what version of crap would you like me to call him? Because that's what I saw over 2 years. Like which scenario in your mind is the better scenario? Because you also have to think about, right, that this is the one thing that I'll say. Caleb Williams has now been sacked 56 times. And that is the third most sacks per game percentage by a quarterback ever. I believe for sure behind David Carr. I think it was Jake Plummer the other one on that list. I think Jake Plummer was the other one on that list. The difference is that Caleb Williams doesn't look broken by the situation. This super chat by Bear Forever is kind of devastating here. Name is Bear Forever 14 said, at this point, I just don't care anymore. Bears football is dead to me. F this team. They'll never get it right. Come on, Bear Forever. But I go back to my Caleb Williams point. I mean, like, you've got a guy who is the third most sacked rookie ever. But I implore you, go back and look at some of the other rookies that are on that list. Your top 10. Look how rattled they are by the end of the season. Look how frazzled their game is. Look how quickly they're escaping the pocket. Look. I mean, they look night and day. Caleb Williams still standing in the pocket, trying to read the defense, trying to get the football out. He knows Braxton Jones is going to be falling into his lap in about a second and a half, but I got to stand in here for this play to develop to try and see what's going to happen. I got to let this route develop here. We're in 3rd and 8. I got to make sure that we're getting at least to the sticks here. He's still doing the quarterback part that to me is the most exciting part I need to see from him in a season where he has been the most sacked rookie quarterback by a wide margin. Heck, the most sacked quarterback by a wide margin. Like, to me, that is it's impressive because I've never seen it. And so there is a part of me that looks at the scenario and goes, no, I need this team to actually go out there and try and win games so that you don't break him. He may be unbearably successful in the worst situation. But you got to find a way to keep this guy mentally strong here, and that may come from him not taking 7 to 10 sacks in a game. Let me see if I can pull up the game log with the sacks per game here, dog. 3 games of 6 sacks or more at a minimum, I believe. It might be 4. You have to do everything in your power to make sure that this, and that's the only reason that I'm still on the no, I don't think that you can just pack it in and call it a season. I don't think that you can just pack it in and say, no, we're good. Here's his sack numbers game by game this season: 7, 5, 3, 3, 9, 6, 3, 3, 1, 3, 4, 7, 2. Like, you're going to, for some reason, this kid is mentally strong enough to have survived to this point. I would rather see him go out there, still play the way that he's playing, still build confidence in his game, still go out there, right? 2-touchdown day. He was still trying to get this team back into it. Team kind of wasn't on board with that. What we saw versus Detroit, what we saw versus Minnesota, the fight, the want to. Those are things that you need, that passion. I don't need those to die. And so because of that, I do still want to see this team compete. I do still want to see this team, right? Now, I think your answer is you go 3-2. No, Thomas Brown ain't the answer. Find another head coach. Build the offensive line. That's okay. I said 4-1 was my buffer. I told you, he got to go 4-1. And it's got to look good. I don't think we'll have a problem getting there, but do I think that the Bears can still be competitive versus Minnesota? Do I think the Bears can still be competitive versus the Packers? Sure. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. But what I also need to know is that mediocre isn't good enough for this franchise anymore. And that seems to be the theme the rest of the way through. I think the reason that most Bears fans are sitting there hoping that they do lose out, of course, outside of the draft capital will be phenomenal. But I do think outside of the hoping that the Bears lose out is just the knowing that it would be too bad for them to screw it up. That to me is why Bears fans are looking for them to lose out. Because we don't believe that we have a franchise that's going to go out there, look at a mediocre performance and go, yeah, that's not good enough. We're going to go get a better coach. We're going to go get a better play caller. We're going to go get a better offensive line coach. We're going to go get a better running backs coach. We're going to go get a better, because we've watched this franchise for years basically go, Matt Eberflus, you're the guy. Here we go. Let's move. That's where Bears fans' concerns are right now. That you're not going to be smart enough to look at the team that you have standing out there, look at how little they wanted to compete in that game, possibly how that may continue moving forward, and go, yeah, you had some competitive moments, right? Maybe you play tough versus the Packers. Maybe you play a tough game versus the Vikings and you get a couple of wins there, and those are good wins. And you go, well, we did see him go out there and compete against the Vikings and the Packers, and those were two good games. And, you know, he was right there in a couple of other ones. I had a coordinator that couldn't get the job done when I needed him to get it done most. Now, we'll see what these last 4 games end up being, but my biggest concern is that mediocre will again be good enough. I told y'all all week, 5-0 gets Thomas Brown the top conversation. 4-1 gets Thomas Brown the conversation. We're doing a real coaching search here. I would hope. And then when it comes down to spending money on this team, the Bears usually don't do that with their coaches. We'll see, man. We'll see what this Bears team has in store. I think there's a lot more concern in Bears fandom right now than there is comfort. Because new coach, new play caller, new system, all of that. Well, not really new system. Same old system. Same old Bears. And the effort that we saw yesterday was an absolute joke in all of that. What y'all got going on, man? What y'all got going on? Ray just said, even at 4-1, it's fool's gold. I don't know about that. 4-1 versus 4 divisional teams that kind of all need to win outside of the Lions, I guess, to make sure that they stay in the playoff race. That's not fool's gold. That's That's good football. You go 4-1 to finish out the season. The 49ers loss is the one that it's like, all right, I guess if you're going to lose one, that's the one to lose. But at the end of the day, it just still gets you a conversation. It's not a you get the job. It would be cool to see him be able to bounce back, right? Wow, we got our butts kicked there, and then you're able to go out the rest of the season and win out. Like that'd be cool to see. I think it'd be good for Caleb's mental. I think it'd be good for the future of your team. But I said this I said this last week. This was a huge game because I thought this was the game that you go out there and you get everyone's buy-in. I feel like the offense is bought into Thomas Brown, even though it didn't show on Sunday. But we've seen them over the past 4 weeks have an offense that looks competent. Or 3 weeks. I get 3 of the last 4 weeks. Defensively, you needed the defense to buy in. Now, if the defense didn't go out there and basically say, hey, if you want to run the football on us, have at it. Rando Rossman said, I just see guys who are done. That's what it looked like to me. Looked like there's a Cancun trip in 5 weeks. That's exactly what it looked like to me. I got to make sure I'm healthy for my trip. Baki said, that's the problem, Pat. We've seen performances like this, sadly, many times and still be cheap when it comes to the coaching staff and roster. 100%. 100%. I get it. I understand it. I understand why Bears fans would rather lose out than be competitive the rest of the way. You don't want to take a chance that these guys are dumb enough to go out there and say, oh, 2-3, but he fought hard. You know what I mean? He gave him one for the Gipper. Because that's their MO. That's their go-to. I understand why you have the concerns you have. I'm there with you. But if you've got those concerns now, after a 7th loss in a row, it's probably not going to change when they go into these coaching interviews, because who's concerned that they're actually going to be willing to pay $15 to $20 million for Ben Johnson? Who's concerned that they're actually going to be willing to bring in one of those big name head coaches who are going to be the guys that want to go out there or that could be the culture changers, the Mike Vrabels? Who's concerned that they have the answer, or that they're willing to have the answer when the answer's sitting in their face? I am. Because it's the Chicago Bears. This is their MO. Yesterday's lack of effort was completely on the players. Yeah. I mean, listen, everybody waits until the last minute to blame the players, and I'm very much like, well, the players got to play on the field. If the scheme is a problem, I'll tell you the scheme is a problem. Y'all know I have no problem calling out these coaches. But when I see guys running butt naked, wide open, and you don't hit them, that means you got to play better. When I see my left tackle getting sacked with the quarterback, that means you got to play better. When I see 3rd and shorts and Caleb Williams put the ball dead on the money, it bounces off of your hands so perfectly that it's impossible for you not to catch it and you still find a way to drop the football, that's when you got to play better. And yesterday was a team that, coming off of getting every single thing that you asked for. And y'all can sit there and say, oh, no, we didn't ask for this. Nobody wants to get anybody fired. Blah, blah, blah. Come on, dog. We're not stupid. Clearly, you weren't happy with Matt Eberflus. That's fine. Nobody was happy with Matt Eberflus. But that's the effort you put on the field after that? Nah. Wild. You're supposed to be skipping and jumping after that. It's bad. Bad effort all around. Catfish said for fantasy purposes, I had picked up Isaac Garendo and played him. Dang you. I went against Garendo. Yeah, my fantasy team is over with, my boy. Dominated. I will say this. Played well enough to win. I might be in trouble, though. But played well enough to win in another league, but I need Chase Brown to basically do absolutely nothing, and he's playing the Dallas Cowboys, so that is probably not going to happen. He's been a point getter over these last few weeks, so I am probably out of the playoffs. I had a horrible fantasy season, though. I had a horrible fantasy season in 3 leagues. In one league, I picked, well, I shouldn't say in 3 leagues. In one league, I didn't pay attention. In one league, though, I picked Chris Godwin, IR. Another league, I picked Brandon Ayuk, IR. Another league, or I think I had like 5 guys go to IR this season. Horrible. Relentless Mikey said, Pat, I kept asking, where was the violence? Yeah, there was none. There was no violence. There was no fight. There was no extra effort. There was nothing. You had nothing. RSA said, do we trust Poles to get the O-line right in the draft? He has a thing for guys who are hurt and bargain shopping. No. Now, he gets the opportunity. I'm going to give you the opportunity. But no. I am concerned with our offensive lineman GM and his picks on the O-line. I think whoever is covering the O-line, whoever is scouting the O-line, needs to absolutely be sent packing. And you need to get somebody new in here. Because I don't know how you come out of this draft with not a single offensive lineman. I don't know how you look at all of the offensive linemen. Tyler Biazza? You looked at Tyler Biazza and were like, nah, we're good. You need a starting center. Now we know we got Ryan Bates. Might I interest you in Coleman Shelton? Why aren't you spending money on a starting center? Well, we don't want to take a chance on. Here's the best part about it, right? Here's the best part about it. We don't want to take a chance on guys who are injury prone. We drafted a dude who had no quad. We don't want to take a chance on guys who are injury prone. We're probably going to have to pay Tevin Jenkins. We don't want to take a chance on guys coming off of injury. Nate Davis played 11 snaps. Achilles facts. Why spend it on starting centers when you got backups? Yeah, we got depth, baby. Oh my God, bro. This team, bro. It's just it baffles me that an offensive lineman is our GM and our offensive line looks this bad. But you know, like I said, when you draft dudes that played like you and are from the same type of college as you are, I think there's a beef with like these elite colleges. I do. I think it's a beef with all of the elite colleges. Like Poles is like, nah, bro. What you mean? You didn't go to an Ivy League school? Please, I'm not drafting you. There's good offensive linemen in those Ivy League trenches. Nobody, go get a behemoth on the left side. I need a 6'7", quick-footed monster out there. 350 pounds. Good grief. Let's finish it out with this, boys. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. The one thing, if there was any positive from this game, is yet again we saw the Caleb and Rome connection come to life, and it came to life in a big way in that second half. Rome Odunze clearly improving, clearly slowly beginning to become that number one projected guy. 5 targets on the day, 4 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Would love to see him get a little bit. Or I'm sorry, that was just in the second half. No, that was a full game. Yeah, 5 targets on the day, 4 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Would love to see him get a little bit more involved in the passing game. But I mean, there wasn't a ton of passes going around. There was only 24 targets to choose from. Keenan Allen got 5. Rome Odunze got 5. DJ Moore got 8. And listen, Caleb Williams, I thought he gave Rome a couple of opportunities to go up and get it. And Rome went up and got it and had the foot placement perfect. Again, improving from where he was. Remember early on in the season where Caleb threw him a clear touchdown and he's standing out of bounds. It's just like, Rome, what the heck are you doing? Was that preseason or was that regular season? I feel like that was in the regular season. It was back of the end zone, left side. But, you know, like you're seeing that rapport grow. And that's one that I have been excited about because it's been something Caleb has been comfortable going to in the clutch. It's been something Caleb has been comfortable going to when you need a big play. It's been something that Caleb has been comfortable going to when he is double covered later in this season, right? He's trusting Rome in a way that we haven't seen Rome. It was the first game of it was the first game of the year against the Titans. Was it? Was that the Titans game? Or was that preseason? A lot of people saying preseason. Either way, the thing for me is that you're trusting Rome in situations that you weren't trusting him in when you had Shane Waldron here. Remember, we basically stopped throwing to him anytime he was double bracketed because of the interception that bounces off his face. And I just don't think that's the right way to go about it. You know what I mean, you have to go out there and you have to trust that your young wide receiver is going to go out there and make some plays. And you saw that in this game. I thought that, you know, that first touchdown catch where he gets both feet in, very mindful, goes up, secures the football, knows that ball's not coming out. All right, let me get the 2 feet in. Those are the things you want to see out of him. He's got big playability. I mean, listen, when you talk about, I'll say this, heading into next season, when you talk about the wide receiver position for the Chicago Bears, there is some conversation out there about, right after Keenan Allen said it, should you bring Keenan Allen back? Is he somebody you want on the team moving forward? And we had the dialogue, you know, when you're talking about fixing this team, having a $20 million wide receiver who I don't know how you give him a pay cut. Doesn't make sense to me, but it makes it a lot easier to move off from him when you've got a guy like Rome Odunze in the building who can go up there and who can catch the football and who can make all of those big plays. I think that you've got a great relationship growing here, and that opens things up for you to move guys around. You do get the comp pick at the end of it, and to me, that comp pick is worth more than going out there and holding on to a aging Keenan Allen, basically to make him the third option. And I would be okay moving on from Keenan Allen heading into next season because I know we have Rome Odunze here to make things to be your either number 1 or number 2 heading into next season. I think that there's too many glaring holes on this team that have to be fixed. You need that money coming off of the books. That's $20 million that you could throw at a big name. You know, like it truly is. And I think that Keenan, the one thing I will say about it, and I think Rome has attested to this as well, Keenan coming into that building was to help your young guys along. I'm not going to say that they've gotten all the way there, but I am going to say that they've gotten to a good enough point that they don't need the basic spoon fed to them anymore, which is where I think Keenan Allen kind of comes in, right? Keenan Allen, listen, for everything that everybody has beef with him on, he teaches guys how to be a pro. He teaches Rome how to be a pro. He teaches them how to practice. He teaches him how to go about his business. And you've seen that at practices, right? Like where Keenan Allen's one of those guys that he makes the simple catch difficult so that he can go out there and he can catch the difficult play. As training camp and practices started to go on, you started to see Rome Odunze take on some of those traits, right? Well, what if I catch it one-handed like this? What if I try to do this? What if I bring it in this way, right? Trying to make it difficult on himself so that when he's in those difficult in-game situations, you see him continue to do that. I think Rome has learned a ton from Keenan Allen this season. I think that Caleb Williams has learned a ton about working with a top flight wide receiver this season with Keenan Allen. But when you talk about moving forward, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like when you talk about moving forward, and it's not even an I'm good, like I'm done. It's just I think that this is set up perfectly for you to go to Rome Odunze. I think that this is set up perfectly for you to say, no, you know what? We love you here, Keenan. We think that you'd be great. If you want to stay for 15, we'll give you a 2 for 15. Right? If he's going to give you a discount to stick around so he doesn't have to move. He also talked about going back to LA, which I think could be a real serious situation for him. I mean, the Rams, I would assume, well, no, probably not the Rams because everybody's going to come back healthy. Raiders? Or Chargers? I don't know. Does he go back to the Chargers? Maybe he goes back to the Chargers. That'd be interesting. But I say all that to say, he basically said it'd be Chicago or it'd be LA. Those would be his two choices. Would he be willing to take a little bit less to stick around here? If he's willing to take less, sure, I'm here for it. But if he's talking about being the $20 million or getting a pay raise guy, I got the answer there with Rome Odunze. I do. I've got a clear-cut answer in my mind. I've got a guy who can go out there and who can be the deep ball wide receiver. I've got a guy who can go out there and who can be the 50-50 ball wide receiver. I've got a guy who can go out there and who can make the tough catches in the back of the end zone like I used to rely on Keenan Allen to do. I feel comfortable with that moving forward. I do. And when you got the offensive line the way that you got it looking right now, and you know you're going to have to overpay for some dude who's just okay, you don't have that money to just throw around. You just don't. You don't have extra money to not be spending in the trenches this upcoming offseason. I better hear we've got 7 offensive linemen signed. I better hear that we've got 3 offensive linemen drafted. And then, and I'm going to tell y'all this right now. Y'all going to be mad at me this offseason. You're going to be mad at me this offseason. Because every offensive lineman that is signed is going to be we'll see. Every single one. We'll see. Because Ryan Poles has shown me nothing to make me believe that he can evaluate the offensive line. Every single one. It's going to be, y'all going to be mad at me because y'all going to be, oh, we got this guy. Here we go. Unless it's like Trent Williams or something. That's different, right? If it's a freaking dog out there, then I'm not going to be a moron about it. But like every one of these muds that he's going to sign this offseason or draft this offseason, I'll be like, I'll see if he can play. He look all right. We'll see. Ryan Bates looked good in those 7 snaps at center that everybody showed me. Hey, Chi-Town Menace, I'm not going to lie to you, bro. I swear I thought this. I would flip a table, bro. I swear I thought this. I was like, bro, if this man goes out and like we lose out and get a high pick, and he's like, Ashton Genty, you can't beat this. Like, we have nobody to block for him, bro. He doesn't need blocking. Nobody needs blocking. Caleb doesn't need blocking. Ashton Genty doesn't need blocking. They're going to dominate. Oh, God. Bad, man. Bad. Hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We're going to get up out of here, man. Appreciate y'all for showing love. As always, we'll be back live tonight for the Daily Show. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love. Appreciate you guys, man. Peace. My bad. I forgot this was the morning show. I gotta play some outro music. So I'm so not used to doing a morning show. Dolo JC, you sleepy bastard.
The best show for Chicago sports.